Caloroga Shark Media.
I'm jazzed. I just did an hour with Mark Malkoff. He hosts the Inside Late Night podcast. He used to host the Carson podcast. And we just talked all things late night for an hour and change. And then I hit stop and said we were off air. And then we talked for another 10 minutes. I can't wait to share it with you. That will be the episode on Saturday, June 8th in the normal feed. I'm going to drop it immediately for premium subscribers. You can either on Apple Podcasts hit subscribe there or go to Caloroga.supportingcast.fm. I would do it there. $5 gets you most of the shows on the network, commercial-free, ad-free, and bonus episodes like my fantastic interview with Mark Malkoff. I'm so excited about it. It was so much fun to do. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Pretty busy for a Friday, especially it was a slow week. Pete Davidson making international news, even though this happened in the States. I saw this in The Independent, a British tabloid. Pete Davidson fans defend comedian for walking off stage in Omaha after relentless heckling. One fan said, "It's just absolutely absurd. You're ruining it for the whole show." Pete was performing at Steelhouse in Omaha as part of the prehab tour. Audience members refused to quiet down and continued to shout things like Ariana Grande. One Reddit fan said, "Good on Pete for disciplining the petulant audience that showed up like an attention-seeking 3-year-old, demanding their presence noticed while the adults talk wasn't the time," they wrote. "Truly disappointing." A Pete Davidson fan using words like petulant? Okay. Another one wrote, "One of the crappier things I personally heard was when Pete mentioned he had one more joke to deliver before sending us off. At this point, some lady near my seats yelled, 'Oh, you've got a joke?' On YouTube, fan Caitlin asked, where the F did decorum go at events, because he shouldn't have to walk off stage because you guys don't understand that because you see crowd work on TikTok. You think every comedian needs to be heckled to the point that they leave stage with one joke left. It's absurd. You're ruining it for the whole show." That's rotten. There's a topic, has crowd work ruined comedy? I'm scheduled to do an interview with Dan Bublitz, a friend of the show. I'm going to ask him that question. Matt Rife called off some shows in Bloomington on Wednesday night, citing a medical emergency. WTHR reports Rife was scheduled to perform at the IU Auditorium, but on social media, shortly after 7:30, Rife wrote, "Indiana, I'm so bleeping sorry, but due to a last-minute medical emergency, I have to reschedule our shows tonight. Again," I'll come back to that. "I've been doing 40-plus shows a month for a year and a half and never had to do something like this. I'm so sorry. I hope you understand, and I love you so much." The show that was canceled this week was originally scheduled for February 14th. Rife announced that schedule change 2 days before the show. WTHR reports despite Rife's wording of rescheduling, the May 29th show seems to be canceled per a release from the IU Auditorium. We'll keep an eye on that one. Dave Chappelle last night was doing another one of those pop-up shows in Africa. He was set to perform in Kigali. A, quote, reliable source told the New Times, I hope they don't have unreliable sources, but the reliable source told the New Times that Dave Chappelle was going to perform at high-end restaurant Kozo Kigali. The show was going for 200,000 local currencies, whatever RWF is, making it the most expensive concert to attend in the history of Rwanda. Sarah Silverman has said that she has changed her comedy because of Donald Trump. She was on David Duchovny's Fail Better podcast. As Sarah said, "It wasn't a conscious like, hey, that stuff doesn't work, so I'm going to go a different way. I think I just very naturally started changing." She said in her 2005 Jesus is Magic special, she was totally doing a character, and that character carried on my Comedy Central show. The Sarah Silverman program character is just an arrogant, ignorant, and so having Trump win, not that it carried through all the way up until Trump was elected, but especially when Trump was elected and how the world changed in that way, that character was no longer really amusing to me because he embodies that completely. It wasn't like, wow, the audience isn't laughing at my racist jokes anymore. Comedy is art, and just like a painting on a wall in a museum, if you go and see it every single day, it changes because your life changes, your experiences change, and the world around us completely changes. And so what you're seeing is going to be inferred with a whole new set of perspective. And I learned this pretty early on, that comedy really dies on the second guessing of your audience and that you have to stay with what is funny to you. In some ways, much of our older comedy doesn't hold up anymore because it comes from white privilege. One of those things in question is Sarah infamously did blackface. She discussed watching the recent We Are the World documentary that featured Prince winning an American Music Award for Best Black Artist. Sarah said, I was stunned that that was an award, and stunned that I'm sure I watched it in 1984 and thought nothing of it. And if anything, I thought it was inclusive. Of course, that's absurd. Just goes to show that as much as we think we've progressed and as woke as we are in this current moment, we're going to go back and look at, oh God, we had Best Actress and Best Actor awards. Whatever. We see things in a whole new way that we don't see right now. Recent Jerry Seinfeld interview, the one from this week, still getting buzz. Variety picked up on Jerry not caring that you didn't like the Pop-Tarts movie. He said, the only thing I want to read are the absolute worst reviews the movie received because there's nothing funnier to me than people complaining that they didn't laugh. See, today, I've got my good half-assed Jerry Seinfeld. Didn't have it the other day. They want to laugh. I related to it. I get it. It's funny that you hated it because you wanted to laugh and you didn't laugh. It's funny. Doesn't matter what you think of me. Why would I think I'm going to make something that everyone will like? What sense does that make? You'd have to be insane to think like that. Jay Leno spoke to Fox. Jay Leno says comedy hasn't changed. We talked about Jay Leno in my interview with Mark Malkoff. I can't wait to share it with you. It's so good. Sign up for the premium feed. You can hear it now. Comedy hasn't changed. It's exactly the same thing. It doesn't change. Things come in and out. If I showed you a Rudolph Valentino movie from the 20s, you wouldn't think it was sexy. You'd think, oh my God. But if I showed you Buster Keaton falling off a building, it would be just as funny now as it was then. So comedy doesn't really change a whole lot. He was asked about the roast of Tom Brady. Again, if it's really funny, all bets are off. See, the trouble is, only when it's inappropriate and not funny, then people go, oh, now I'm offended. I'm offended because A, it's not funny because it's inappropriate. Then they'll go, it's inappropriate, but it's really funny. He said, Nikki Glaser killed me. She was really funny. A lot of people might say it's inappropriate, but if it's really funny, it makes it okay. I'm not a big roast person. It's not something I do, but it's just a different kind of comedy, and it's fine. It's good. From the Late Nighter website, James Austin Johnson dressed up as Bob Dylan the other day to mark Bob Dylan's 83rd birthday. Johnson brought his impression of Bob Dylan to Washington Square Park. James said he made up a theme time radio hour, that's Bob's old radio show, for Bob Dylan's birthday at Washington Square Park. In the clip, Johnson as Dylan waxes poetic on things like baseball games, suntan lotion, and carnivals. On Gossip Corner, a rising comedy star native to the Mechanicsburg area was spotted back in hometown at an iconic racing track. Okay, Local 21 News, who was it? It was Shane Gillis. Shane was seen on Facebook at Williams Grove along with the cast of his new Netflix series Tires. Today is day 4 of me trying to watch Tires, but every single time I go to watch Tires, my entire family's on Netflix and I just watch Hacks. And I like Hacks, but I'm trying to watch Tires. These kids are young adults and teenagers. Go out and drink beer in the park. Stop watching Netflix. That's for dads. John Mulaney joked that he busted someone watching John Mulaney on a flight. Mulaney shared on Instagram a fellow passenger sitting in front of Mulaney on a flight. The fellow passenger was watching Everybody's in L.A. Mulaney tagged it, busted. I feel good on the microphone today, probably because I just did an hour with Mark Malkoff. Did I mention that the interview is fantastic? I loved that interview so much. And not because of me, because of Mark. I just did the Carson thing of ask a question and shut up. And Mark told great stories. Can't wait to share that with you. It'll be in the main feed Saturday, June 8th is my plan right now. Eddie Pepitone is taping a special tonight in Chicago. He'll be at Lincoln Hall. He told CBS 2 that it's been nerve-wracking. I get so neurotic. This is going to be part of my legacy. People are going to see what I do. With the world really falling apart, it's just kind of like me just talking about how I'm falling apart. I have a line in the special somewhere where I say, I don't know if the fact that 3 corporations own everything and the ruling class is destroying us that's effed me up, or it's the fact that I'm really lazy and I don't like myself. He picked Chicago because I love Chicago. I love Chicago audiences. Chicago is a great comedy town. Great. Every time I perform in Chicago, I leave the show going, they're really good comedy audiences. Of the new special, he says, I realize this special is an introspection about myself and the battle I have toward being a free soul. I've realized the ugliness in me helps people with the stuff they're going through. Plus, as a comedian, I feel like the only way to get better is to stay honest with yourself and have the courage to put yourself out there. He warns topics are heavy. There are definitely people who are not ready for it, but adds anything dark you have to make palatable by showing your own humanity, how you're scared, not above it all. Lincoln Hall tonight, 7:15 early show, 9:45 late show. Jimmy O. Yang is in a new, quote, high-octane short film for Toyota, promoting the brand's all-new 2024 Land Cruiser. That's right. In the 3-minute film, the Land Cruiser Get Back Challenge. Jimmy O. Yang and some other folks are blindfolded and dropped on a remote, snowy embankment. They're tasked to find their way back to civilization, navigating a series of challenges while relying on nothing but a 2024 Land Cruiser. I got to tell you, though, way cooler than Jim Gaffigan selling bourbon. Way cooler. Alt comedy fan fave and TikTok star Laura Murley is releasing her debut comedy special. It's called Belly Slappin' Fun. That'll be out Thursday, July 18th. Laura follows in the large footsteps of Mitch Hedberg and Maria Bamford, specializing in setup punchline jokes and one-liners told in a trademark deadpan that just keeps getting funnier. And that, to me, sounds right up my alley. Allie Clayton's new album is out today. It is called Country Queer. After working in comedy for 15 years, Allie put together a set that tells her story as a member of a very Southern family from rural North Carolina, a special ed kid, a lesbian, an alcoholic, and a white girl who started her comedy career in the South Side of Chicago. Allie Clayton says, "Comedy Queer is a love letter to little Allie about embracing and loving your authentic self and never forgetting where you come from. I'm country and I'm queer, and I'm proud to be both." And that is your comedy news for today. Tomorrow, a conversation with Dan Bublitz about comedy. Hope you'll enjoy that one. All right, see you tomorrow.